Welcome back. We've got a lot of value today on the big board for Odds Checker. I'm Eytan Shander. Let's start with the earliest game out there. Yesterday, we saw a ton on Tuesday, including two big upsets with one seeds going down. Today, I like the opposite trend. You know, people are going to try and ride these dogs in this first round, especially after what they just saw with both Milwaukee and the Lakers going down. Let's start with the Raptors, as they lay right now 11.5. You get a minus 103 return on 888 Sports. They're laying 11.5, which is a huge number in this bubble, but I love it. I know the Brooklyn Nets played Toronto somewhat tough at times, but this is a blowout waiting to happen. There's a reason why that big line sits where it does at 11.5, because Toronto can now take over if, in fact, there's an opening left by Milwaukee, especially after losing that first game. So I love the Raptors to kick things off today. Yes, a gigantic number at minus 11.5, but stick with it. We'll move to a dog, and I don't necessarily know how big of a dog they'll be after a brutal loss in overtime to Denver, in which we saw Donovan Mitchell make a key mistake despite dropping 57. The Jazz are getting 4.5. Again, 888 gives you the best return at minus 103. Jazz get 4.5 points against the Nuggets, who they played really tight, and you saw an explosion in the backcourt. I love Utah today to bounce back and win outright, but I'll sure as heck take those points, no problem. Again, plus 4.5, the minus 103 on 888 Sports. It's the play of the day, in fact. If you look at how Utah is geared up, Mike Conley's back, but he won't play, I don't imagine, today after needing to quarantine and pass a test or two. But the reality is that Utah looked healthier than Denver. They just blew it. Jazz just blew it and gave up the game in overtime. So far, Toronto minus 11.5, Utah plus 4.5. Let's get to my Sixers. I would love to give you an angle here. I would love to try and find a way in which Philadelphia could cover that 4.5 point spread. So let's just double it down and take the Sixers plus 170 on the money line. Bet 365 is going to get you the best return on that at plus 170. Again, that's the play. I know that Philadelphia is not going to win this series. Gordon Hayward is out 4 weeks. The Sixers were tight, but I think this time they're a little looser, and they'll fix some issues on offense just for a game. They're not in Boston. They don't have to play away. I know everybody's playing technically a road game, but this is a big game for Philadelphia, and I think it's a even up the series game. They may lose in 5, very well could lose in 5, but I think this game today is a Sixers win outright. Plus 170 on the money line, bet 365 on the return. Late game tonight, Mavs and Clippers. We know that Kristaps Porzingis is most likely not going to be ejected after a boneheaded play the last time out, challenging Marcus Morris, who was challenging Luka Doncic. It got into a big mess. And the reality is it was a close game. This time around, I think both teams are going to light up the scoreboard as much as possible. Clippers are definitely motivated. You know, the Mavs are going to come back with some edge, especially with Kristaps playing what we believe to be the full game. The total sits right now at 229.5, and I easily see that going over. So let's go over 229.5. Minus 107 is the best return at resorts. And I think this game is going to be close to a shootout. You'll see Dallas have at least one half. I mean, they'll put together 2 quarters in which they'll light up the board for 69, 70 type points. All you need is about a $1.20 from the Clippers. Well, they got you that last time. They're going to get you that this time. Dallas's defense is not going to stop the Clippers. It's more about when does Dallas go cold. I think the Mavs put up enough points tonight, and that's why that total hits. That's why that over hits 229.5. And again, resorts at minus 107. So working in reverse, we've got the over on the Clippers Mavericks game, 229.5, minus 107 at resorts. We've got the Sixers plus 170 on the money line outright to beat the Boston Celtics. Before that, Jazz get 4.5 points against the Nuggets, rolling with Utah, minus 103 at 888 Sports. Same place will give you the same return, minus 11.5. Raptors beat the Nets. For Odds Checker, I'm Eytan Shander. Enjoy the games.